and welcome to the Boag World Show, the longest running web design podcast where we look at user experience design, conversion rate optimization, working in the web and all that good stuff. On this week's show, we're going to look at the importance of trust in an age of misinformation, a tool for monitoring how users are feeling, and whether we should be repackaging what we do as products. My name is Paul Boag, and joining me as always is Marcus. Hello, Marcus.
Hello, Paul. How's it going, mister?
Yeah, not bad. It's just the two of us today, so bit more chilled, bit more laid back, because I don't
have to be so nice or anything like that.
I don't have to make an effort with you, Marcus. I've known you for so long that it's like you just turn up, don't you?
It would feel wrong if you did.
Make an effort?
I think it's something would be wrong.
Yeah,
you're setting me up for something bad. Or something like that.
Yes, there's something I need to tell you, Marcus. Yes.
Oh no.
So no, it's all very chill. Yeah. So, but actually, on the subject of guests, before we get into our normal pre-ramble, if anyone's got any ideas of people we should talk to, rather than us rejigging all the old people that we've always spoken to because we're old and decrepit,
who are actual old people now.
We are actual old people.
And so are all the people we will speak.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
yes, and I've got more white than dark. Many white
Yes,
hairs
I know.
now.
Well, at least you've got it still, so that's something. Send me an email to paul@boagworld.com. If you've got someone to recommend, or if you think, you'd be a good guest yourself, I'm quite happy to hear from you. That would be awesome. You don't need to be internet famous. You just have to have an interesting thing to talk about, really.
Yeah, I have actually thought about this myself, Paul, but I've been so blinking busy. I thought, well, I could, you got a client on last week. I'm thinking there must be people that I've worked with for years. And it's just, we had one of them over this week, which is another reason why it's been crazy. We've been sort of like entertaining a client who came over from America. Which was great. It was wonderful, but it's like when you're sort of at that level of looking after somebody for that long. I went to bed at 8:00 on Wednesday. Like, gone. It's like, yeah. Anyway, but
so you've been really busy then, from the sounds of it.
Yeah, I mean, we could be earning more money, Paul, but we are very busy. Yeah.
Yes.
We're doing a project.
Those two things don't always go hand in hand, do they? Being busy
don't.
and earning lots of money.
Well, we're interviewing, well, I guess I should say this on the show. Headscape is currently hiring. We are looking for a PHP developer. So we're interviewing, and you may remember how much fun it is interviewing many different people over and over again.
Yeah.
But I'm also in the middle of a research project where I'm doing lots of interviews. So I'm just constantly doing interviews. Also trying to finish off doing a facelift for the Headscape site, and it's just like that always just gets forgotten about. And then you come back to it and you spend half an hour in it and go, where was I? Yeah. And it's just really busy, but it could be earning some more money.
At least the stakeholder interviews and user interviews are not as bad as they used to be, because now you can just use things like Fathom to record the sessions, and then you don't need to remember everything that was said. You can just go in and because I had to do 5 or 6 interviews with Australians at like 7 a.m, which is not my best time. And Fathom just records it all for me now, and then I don't need to remember anything on the call. I just need to ask intelligent questions, and then I can go back and ask Fathom what it was we discussed and what was it they said about X, and so I do all that now.
I see. I'm old school, Paul.
I see. Get with the kids.
Don't trust AI. Interesting point about this. This is this whole the theme of today's show. It's not true to say I don't trust AI, but no, I still type what people tell me as they're saying it.
Now,
because it goes in my brain.
Yes. Now, I do get that. I do understand that. And I'm not like that because it still doesn't stick, and it distracts me from listening to the person. But I can understand how that works. But what's nice about something like Fathom in particular is it's recording the whole conversation. So you can go back in and ask details and jump to different bits of the the kind of the conversation and that kind of stuff. Which
is it good. Giving you all the text of what's yeah?
It gives you the transcript, the video,
transcript. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, the transcript, the video, and then its summary. Its summary is a bit. With all of these tools, it never remembers the things you want it to remember. But when you've got, but the thing that I really like about Fathom, and probably the best thing of it, is that you can go in. It's got an Ask Fathom function, so you can go in and say, what did they say about da 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 da, and then it'll tell you back and give you the link to jump to the right place in the video.
Interesting, yeah. Because having something that records the transcript would be useful. Yeah, really useful. But then I still think me typing it makes it go in my brain, and then I can kind of work it out as I'm asleep. Kind of. And I
totally agree with that. Well, even though I don't do it, I get that. And I don't think it's an either or. I think it's a
could
both
do both
thing.
Yeah. Anyway, so I've been doing that, and that's it really. And
I've not been very busy at all, actually. It's July, and so everything's gone quiet, and I've been slacking off. I've been playing computer games the last couple of days, really. That's all I've done.
You're such a nerd. Great. It's like beautiful weather outside. Paul's been inside playing computer games.
Excuse me. Well, yes, that is true. But I've also been outside because we were up in York to see my daughter, and we have our new caravan.
And how's that going? I had written here on my notes, when are you going to Europe, Paul?
Not probably until like the end of this year.
Okay.
We're probably going to take the caravan down to Spain when it gets miserable here. That's the plan.
What an excellent idea.
I thought so. Yes.
Perfect.
So
you only really get 6 weeks of bad weather in Spain. Sorry, you carry on.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not going to be amazing weather.
You know, we get 6 months of shit weather. They get 6 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking mine of I don't know whether I've told you this. I might have even said it in the last podcast, but it's an opportunity for you to take the piss at me.
Okay.
Talking of travelling, I am going on a Saga cruise in February.
You haven't told me that, Paul. Well, there you go. I mean, I can't think of anything much worse than that, if I'm honest. The only cruise I will do, or I would do, and I have said I would like to do, is the Norwegian fjords.
That's what we're doing.
Well, there you go. So that's fine then.
Yeah. So we're doing the Norwegian fjords up into the Arctic Circle.
Yeah.
Basically. But it's the fact, for those people who don't know, Saga is an old people's cruise, basically.
For the over 50s.
Yeah, correct. So I am now of an adequate age to go on a Saga cruise.
Do you know what, Paul? I'm only 18 months away from being 60.
Bloody hell.
I know.
Scary, isn't it?
It is. How did that old men.
Yeah, I know. Is that Andy Clark as well? Was rubbing it in recently when he on the text message. Just been to see my financial advisor, and now I'm doing early retirement. I'm semi-retired now.
Yes, I didn't like him very much for saying that, but then I think Andy needs to be told, because he was fretting massively about work and something. But this is really interesting, isn't it, for the listener? But he was really fretting about work, not having enough work, and I said to him, but haven't you got a huge pension pot that you can just retire? And I don't know. But then he's gone and spoken to the accountant, and it's all fine and dandy. Good luck to him.
I don't get it, right? Because Andy Clark, for those people who don't know, I'll put a link in the show notes.
He was on the show 2 shows ago.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he? And
three shows ago.
If you Google stuff and nonsense, you'll end up at Andy's website. He's one of the best designers I know. I'm surprised that he's not inundated with work, but I guess even I'm going through a slow patch, so it proves anyone can. Unfortunately, I don't have a big pension pot like Andy, because Andy is much more conscientious, and I keep spending it on Saga cruises and caravans and shit like that. You see, I'm not as responsible as he is.
Yeah, I've got a little some, but as I've just mentioned, I'm not far away from the big. It's not like it's round the corner, but it's not that far away. So I'm thinking, better put some money away, mister. So I'm frantically.
So
in my old Marcus would be like, fine, fuck it, spend it, who cares? Kind of thing. I'll earn some more. No, I'm like, no, put it all away in a little box.
Put it all away. Yes. So kids, start your pension early or something.
Absolutely.
That's what you're supposed to do. Hey, going back to user interviews, right?
Yeah.
And Fathom and that kind of thing. I come across. I don't know what I think of this app at all, right? At one level,
oh dear.
On one level, it really creeps me out, but on another level, it's quite useful. It's called emotionsense.pro, right? Okay. And you can find it at emotionsense.pro, and it basically kind of it's a Chrome extension. So if you're making a call via Google Meet or something that's browser based, it can watch the video, right? So unlike Fathom, which is going through and, creating a transcript and stuff like this, Emotion Sense basically watches the person's face and their facial expression and detects how they're feeling, right? Does like real-time analysis on, are they neutral? Are they confused? Are they engaged? All of those kinds of things. And so you can kind of, I'm thinking of it from a user interview perspective, or user testing, that you'd be able to see whether somebody is, getting confused, completing a task, or is able to do it or whatever. But I imagine it'd be good if you're doing webinars as well, or training to get real-time feedback. Now,
or very disconcerting and demoralising.
Yes. Yeah.
No one's listening.
Nobody's paying a blind bit of attention to you. So I thought I'd mention it because I understand what they're going for. It just feels a little bit creepy. I don't know how I feel about it. And the other thing is how unemotionally intelligent do you have to be to sit in a meeting and not to know whether someone's paying attention to you? Like right now, I know that Marcus is zoning out because, his head's drooped and he's dribbling out the corner of his mouth. So, that gives me... But I don't know. It was an interesting one. What do you think? Would you use it in a user interview?
No.
No, I don't think I would as well. I don't know why I mentioned it, really. Why did I bring it up?
It just seems like someone's thought... It's like, we could build this thing.
Yeah.
When they haven't really thought about whether it's any use to anyone. But then that's that's how... when we were looking at back at Christmas time, we were looking at Facebook's glasses or something like that, and it was the way I forget his name, Mr. Facebook.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg, yeah. We can build it, so we're going to build it. And it wasn't like, is it any use? It doesn't matter. We're going to build it.
I don't know. I think we're being a bit unfair to the poor person that created this app, because I can see it would be useful when you're doing training. I can see it being useful when you're maybe being interviewed, right, for a job. It'd be nice to know whether the person that's interviewing you is engaged. I can see,
but the other way round feels like, I don't like that. If I'm interviewing someone, if I'm being interviewed and they're using that on the other side, and this thing is making decisions about me when. But I mean, this do you see what I mean? It might not be. Yeah. It might not be right.
Yeah,
and a decision about me not getting the interview. Sorry, Paul, but it may make a decision about what I'm feeling that means I don't get the job.
And this is actually a big problem that they're having full stop at the moment with kind of, I mean, you're doing interviews at the moment and you're looking at people getting a job, and a lot of organisations these days, because you get so many CVs through, right? They're just getting AI to look over the CVs, and so a lot of CVs don't ever even get in front of a person. because the AIs are just going through and dismissing them. But then I've spoken to a recruitment guy who said, well, part of the problem, and I think I've mentioned this on the show as well, part of the problem is that it's so easy to apply for jobs now. We've made the user application process so easy that everybody gets flooded with jobs. And so it's not surprising we end up using AI to kind of filter through the chaff, so to speak.
Yeah.
So we've already got machines making these decisions, Marcus.
I won't steal your thunder on what the main part of the show is about, but I think the human element is what's required. This is what AI doesn't have. It doesn't have that radar that humans have got to go, this isn't right. I don't trust it.
Did you see the post? There was a post by Jared Spool this week on LinkedIn where he said, I knew this was going to happen. I said it was going to happen, and here it is. And he'd photographed an ad that he'd seen, which basically was, the ad was, get to speak to a real person, right? Because already people are sick of speaking to AI chatbots.
Totally.
And so it was like, you can talk to a real person. Aren't you lucky, you know?
Oh, no. Well, I mean, yes, I get it all the time. Again, we're kind of delving into the next section.
That's all right.
But it's okay. Sites that don't give you ways to contact are instantly, they're back up. You get your back up. You don't trust them. All this kind of thing. And that includes being sent towards, kind of knowledge bases and chatbots and this kind of thing. It just drives me insane. I mean, I get it that they can't. So a lot of these kind of large organisations can't afford to hire 500 people to give the personal touch, but there's a problem here because whenever I get on a chatbot, I'm just typing "talk to a human" within 2 interactions.
Yeah. So, I haven't got a problem with you send an email off that goes to a help desk or something.
That's fine.
Like that. You get an email back which says, we think these might be solutions to your problem, but and if it is, just you hit reply or click this button and say it's solved. Otherwise, a human will get back to you. You could do it, change the default around rather than it being, here's, are any of these the answer to your question? No, put me through to a human, please. It's the wrong way around, isn't it?
Yeah, drives me mad.
Or perhaps we're just old and, perhaps, people do like self-service, but it's only good if it actually works. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but a lot of these large organisations, you only ever get in contact with them when you want to buy something, and then they're remarkably good at getting you in touch with the person. Or there's a problem, and then it becomes, and you know that you need to speak to someone. Maybe you could find it on the website, but nah, you need to speak to someone.
I had a good experience recently with something like this. I use a tool called Aware, which is basically lets you post to LinkedIn, right? It gives you a load of analytics as well and lets you reply to people instead of going to, I hate LinkedIn, the interface is shit, right? So I use Aware instead. And I was stuck on how to do something. And so they've got one of these AI bots, which you can ask a question to, and it searches the knowledge base for you and gives you an answer. So I wasn't expecting an interaction with a human. I was just basically, it was a way to search their knowledge base without having to read every fucking article on there.
Yeah.
So I did that. What surprised me, I didn't find the answer I was looking for, and just kind of thought, I can't be bothered. It wasn't a big enough thing to actually then email them or whatever. But they were monitoring the chatbot and came back to me and said, that isn't a feature yet, but I can turn it on manually in the back end for you.
Wow.
And it was like, that they were actually bothering to read this, B, that they fixed it for me. And then suddenly my expectations of that company shot through the roof. And I best customer experience ever. That's the power of this kind of stuff when you get it right.
Yeah, still needs a person at the other end. And as I said, I'm repeating myself now, but I can get it that if you are a giant telecom company, you can't have too strong, but you're unlikely to have the number of people waiting by the phone to be, to interact with customers.
Yeah, but it doesn't need to be on the phone, because I don't think anybody wants the phone, right? The company certainly doesn't want it because it's very expensive. The customer doesn't want it because they don't want to wait on hold. And most people don't want to speak to another human if they can get away with it. So
I don't think that's true, Paul, but that's just you.
No, I think it's a generational thing. I think, statistically, if you look at, we really are the last generation that actually wants to talk to somebody on phone. Most of the interactions, they would prefer to do it asynchronously, where, that's why the younger generation will prefer text over a phone call. Right.
Yeah.
So there is loads of data to back this up. Don't look at me like that, Marcus.
Okay.
You're giving me that cynical look you get. So anyway, but let's
Paul's
not get
quoting
down.
stats again.
Made up stats. That's what. Hang on a minute. Let me pull up Perplexity. Can you give me a stat that backs up this argument? That's what you're supposed to do, isn't it?
Yes.
What was I saying? Yes. So, but that doesn't mean. The great thing with live chat, with email chat, or email, any of those kinds of things, you can be dealing with 4, 5, 6, 7 conversations simultaneously.
Yeah.
So there is really no reason why a big company couldn't be doing that. And also, if they're a big company and they've got a lot of customers, they're going to need to spend a lot.
That's all it is. Greed, Paul.
Which comes on to this subject of trust, really, doesn't it? And building trust and building relationships.
I like this subject for this week. I think it's really important.
Yeah, you said that. Why is this? Is it a bugbear of yours, or just some?
I think it's important, particularly at the moment. I think to a degree. You could argue that kind of good design is about, in the kind of design we do, designing interfaces, that kind of thing. Ensuring that what you're doing from a content point of view, from a visual perspective, emboldens trust, for want of a better way of putting it. We've been doing that for years, but I think it's even more important these days.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that, because there are so many things eroding trust. Obviously, there's a lot of misinformation online. There's a lot. It's harder and harder to know what is real, and partly because of AI. But then there's also a lot of scamming. Yeah. There's also a lot of broken promises. Even from legitimate companies, that there is a lot of kind of resentment and a feeling. There's a natural predisposition these days, more than ever before, that a company will screw you over if they can, and so there's this enormous need to really build trust at the moment. I'm working with a client at the moment. It's an e-commerce company in fashion, so they do fashion retailing, and I did a sentiment analysis where I got AI to basically look online. What is it that people are saying about this fashion retailer, etc. And the lot of it came down to really terrible customer service, feeling like they were being lied to, being manipulated, etc., which really freaked me out initially. But then I also did the same thing for the competition, and the entire sector is seen in that way, right? So it's not, I was thinking, shit, this is a really dodgy company that I'm working with. And it's not. There was just no trust in the whole sector, and that's what brought me to do this. And actually, it was a thing I looked into in quite a lot of detail, because I work with the guys at Baymard, the Baymard Institute. I don't know whether you know about them.
But I do know who they are, yes.
They've got this massive repository of user research. I'll put a link in the show notes.
That you have to pay for, but it's very good, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is incredibly good. But you are right. It's it's a subscription service. And I actually created a whole video with them about this idea of, trust being a fundamental problem. And I actually think, especially with e-commerce, that trust is probably one of the biggest reasons why people don't buy, and that everybody's trying to optimize the user interface and improve the checkout. And 99% of the time, it's bugger all to do with that. It's to do with the fact that, what's your return policy? Are you going to sting me for delivery? All of these kinds of concerns that people have. And I think the same is true with hiring a web design company or anything. It requires a degree of trust. And so, Definitely. We're in a bit of a mess at the moment. We've got deepfakes, we've got AI generated comment, we've got spammy interfaces, dark patterns, data breaches. And there was a time where trust used to be kind of implicit. People used to trust big organizations, right? Our parents' generation would trust big companies and big organizations. Now it very much has to be earned. And even good brands, that are trustworthy get caught in the crossfire because there's some, maybe confusing form or a vague CTA or a slow response or just inconsistencies or a misunderstanding. Because people are so cynical, one little mistake and you can kind of get screwed over, really.
And it gets blown up often as well.
Becomes huge. So, that comes to the subject of then, as UX professionals, how can we reinforce trust and maybe how do we undermine it sometimes as well? And there are from a user interface point of view, there are things like the visual and behavioral consistency in the interfaces we build. There's this really weird thing with cognitive load, right? So cognitive load is as we get more and more overwhelmed, right, by a user interface or by an experience, one of the consequences of that is actually we become increasingly cynical and untrusting of the thing that we're using, right? Which is, there's no direct correlation there really, but seriously, in the research, you become more and more, what's going on here?
Why am I tricked? Basically,
yeah, is something going wrong? Is something not off here? And of course, inconsistent interfaces, confusing interfaces, visual inconsistencies, all of that stuff starts to undermine the experience. A great example of this, when I was reviewing a site recently for a charity, and I was going through the donation process, and when it came to the payment, suddenly I was vomited onto a third-party website with a different URL, with no branding of the charity on there whatsoever. And it's like, what the hell is this? Yeah. Is this, have I been hijacked in some way? Is something weird's going on? And then, of course, you've got your micro interactions and your UI copy, which can carry a surprising amount of weight, kind of poorly worded error messages, missing loading states where and you just think, this is not comfortable, this is not right here. And that's not even to mention like dark patterns, right? And the really interesting thing with dark patterns, so these kind of manipulative techniques, creating a sense of scarcity or all of that kind of bullshit, is that you can often, as the website owner or even as the designer, in your eyes, you're not being manipulative, right? And you could make a strong argument that you are not using a dark pattern, right? And I don't think there are that many people that are going out intentionally manipulating people, right? But the thing is, it doesn't matter a jot what you think. If your audience considers it a dark pattern, if your audience considers it manipulation, then you undermine trust. So, for example, you might put on your website, there are only 3 left in stock. And that might be 100% true. And your intentions might be 100% that you want people to know so they're not disappointed, right? But if the person viewing that thinks you're trying to manipulate them and trick them, you lose trust. So it's weird. And then, of course, we've got privacy and data collection stuff, cookie notifications, sign-up forms, legalese, terms and conditions, all of those check boxes of, am I supposed to check this or uncheck this? All of that kind of stuff, all kind of fosters this sense of distrust. So it's a really interesting subject. In terms of what you do about it, it's becoming increasingly difficult, right? Because the traditional one was social proof, right? You include testimonials, case studies, third-party reviews, etc.
Yeah.
But, yeah, exactly.
I mean, I still think they're really valuable, but I don't actually believe it, because you're testing and people say, "Oh, I always ignore that." They're blind to them, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's maybe that testimonials aren't necessarily seen. I mean, maybe they are seen really cynically, but more a case of just like, oh, well, every website's got those.
Yeah.
Ignore.
And also, I do think there is a cynicism. There is a belief that they're not genuine and that they're not real. I mean, if you think about, like, the only reason we trust Amazon reviews is because there are a shit ton of them.
Yes.
Right? It's the number that convinces us there. You know, and if you're going to use like testimonials or case studies or things like that, I think you really need to be ideally linking back to the source. And the source needs to be a third party. So whether it be a social media post, whether it be the company website, that, you know, to show that these things are real. And then also if you use like reviews from a third party, like Trustpilot or somewhere like that, where they've been posted on a third party site. And the other one that I like these days is little video reviews. I'm doing those more than more, you know, and the point is, everybody's going, oh yeah, but it's a lot of work doing
No, it isn't.
video. No, it's not, right?
No, it isn't.
You open up Zoom and just record it.
Yeah.
Because it can afford it. In fact, it needs to be a bit shit, right?
Yes, overly slick, it doesn't work.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than a video where they look like they're reading off of an auto cue and they don't go and the video quality is all beautifully lit and stuff. It just feels insincere. So a kind of shit video review is a really powerful tool. But I also think there's other stuff that we can do on our website. You know, clarity over cleverness is one that springs to mind. So when you go to these websites and they have some, you know, marketing bullshit strap lines. Do you know what I mean?
God, yeah. Well, I was just mentioning the Headscape website. We have a new one, Paul.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Have you actually launched it?
Not yet. No. We have a new strap line.
What's your new strap line?
I'll be interested to get your opinion on this. Right. Custom web design and development. That's it.
See? Yeah.
And we have a secondary one. We provide intelligent and practical outcomes for our clients' digital challenges, which is a bit more, but yeah. But the first one,
it's still, yeah. I mean, the only thing you could argue with it, I mean, you could get into arguments about, well, that could apply to any web design agency on the planet, and you know, what is it that makes you unique and that kind of stuff.
It's not unique, but we're stating what we do.
Yeah, and I do, and that goes back to the clarity over cleverness thing. That I think as soon as you start introducing innovative, right? Then it just falls. I mean, Apple now, it's a comic. You know, if you watch a keynote of Apple, it's just bullshit after bullshit after bullshit.
Oh, God,
you know,
just
the words that fall out of their mouths, and so yeah, I think clear, simple, plain language. And my rule of thumb is, could I, with a straight face, sitting in a pub with my mates, and they say, what is it you do? Could you say that strapline?
Yes.
With a straight face. And you could, in the example you just gave, you could say that. But, you couldn't say, we provide innovative, cutting-edge solutions to your, complex digital enterprise-level challenges.
Yeah, it's like, oh, shut up. Yes, I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Anyway, sorry, I distracted you there, Paul.
No, it was a brilliant example. And so then there's things like the way you talk to somebody as well online, I think makes a huge difference. There's this great example that I have from the University of Essex. I should have pulled it out, really. It's long since gone. They've long since fixed it. But it basically said, studying at the University of Essex is about more than just your academic pursuits. We provide students with a range of, facilities, right? And it reminded me of that bit from Silence of the Lambs, where, the serial killer that had the woman down the well, and he was saying, she will put on the lotion. Right. And he was talking to her in the third person in an attempt to distance himself and dehumanize himself. And so many websites read like that. They refer to themselves as the University of Essex or Headscape or whatever. And they refer to the reader as students or, whatever. There's no we and I and us and that kind of personal thing, which really helps to build trust when you talk like a human being. Web design agencies are particularly bad for this, right? Especially freelancers that want to appear big, right?
We do this and we do. Yeah. Builders do it, and electricians do it. We'll be, we can fit you in, and we can do it. It's like, it's just you, mate, isn't it? It's like, but people have done it for years. It's trying to make yourself seem more important. But it does go towards people going, well, if you're saying that, that's not true, and therefore, do I trust you?
Yeah. And the other point, the other thing that I think really helps is around accessibility and inclusivity. That if users feel left out, they feel wary. And I know this isn't a very popular subject, especially in America at the minute, DEI and, all of that stuff.
Oh, I'm talking lots about that at the moment with the interviews I'm doing. But anyway, that's another...
Oh, were you really? Interesting.
Yeah.
So, but I remember one example that really resonated with me when I was testing a university website, and it will remain nameless. And they were trying to attract international students from Asia, China, and that kind of area.
Yeah.
And so I was showing them the homepage of the website, and I asked a very simple question: do you feel that this institution is for people like you? Every single person said no, and I knew they'd say no because it had a big carousel. This is the problem with bloody carousels, and they're putting their latest bullshit news stories on the homepage, right? Had a big ass carousel with 4 white middle-aged men all wearing full kind of academic regalia.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not showing me,
Yeah.
It immediately alienates you, doesn't it? So, yeah.
Interesting.
And then finally, there's kind of support and accountability. So contact information,
as we were saying earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. Frequently asked questions, how you deal with complaints, how you deal with feedback, all of that kind of stuff. So the question then becomes, well, how do you embed all of this and the importance of trust into your UX practice and what it is that you do? So, I mean, obviously you can audit your experience for trust breakers, right? Actually do an audit, particularly focusing on trust, okay? So, for example, that conversion rate optimization strategy for the e-commerce company I was mentioning, when I started that process, I didn't really know where the problem for their conversion rate was. And then very quickly I discovered, okay, it's trust. And so then I pursued the line of trust to kind of uncover all of the issues that were contributing to that. So doing that is really worthwhile. The other thing I would recommend is make sure you're talking to legal and compliance people early in your projects, right? Now you might think, why? Well, the problem is that legal and compliance often are not spoken to until the very end. They then say, oh, you need all of these things in place to be compliant. And they give you a load of legalese copy that is really, really shit from a trust building point of view and undermines the experience. And so the earlier you talk to them, the more you can refine those ideas and improve it and find a middle ground where you're talking in human language rather than in legalese. Include trust in your usability testing. Ask users, would you feel comfortable sharing your data here? Or does this company feel reliable to you?
That's the best one. That's the best.
Yeah.
For me, the best recommendation here. It's like, because I don't think... Not sure we do that or not. I'd have to go back and have a look to ask that sort of question. It's more a case of, do you understand? Can you find that? It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. How do you feel about what you're looking at here?
Yeah. See, what you need is a tool that can detect people's emotions.
Yes. And then the machines can take over completely.
The machines can tell you whether they find it trustworthy or not. So include it in your usability testing, and then have that as one of the metrics that you measure. Everybody measures net promoter score. Well, why not trust? Why not measure how much somebody trusts your company? I think that's a really good metric to introduce, and I think trust is now more important than ever before. We've got AI that is deepening the challenges around this, and it's becoming, it's muddying the water further. I think trust can become a real differentiator and a way of standing out. That's certainly what I've told this e-commerce company, this fashion brand I'm working with, because nobody in the industry is trusted. So there is a real
easy
opportunity.
Win here,
easy wins. Just be trustworthy. And I think it falls to us as UX professionals to evangelize the benefits of trust. So I think it's a really, really important subject. So there you go. That's my thoughts on trust.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said, why do I find this fascinating? I think one of the reasons why I find it fascinating is to do with the fact that obviously we were just joking about the machines are taking over. Well, they kind of are in some respects. So you've got to kind of work out what can the humans bring that's really useful. And I think being able to recognise when things are off is something that humans are good at. It's something I'm really good at, and I that's not showing off. I just am.
No, it's and just, dear listener, I would like to say Marcus is not talking bullshit. There, it is his strength.
And it's reminded me of the fact, because I've already mentioned that we're interviewing people. We're interviewing developers, back of the back end developers, and it's like I can't assess their technical skills. Pointless. No. But I'm in there to feel if things are off,
if they're going to be a pain in the arse.
And that's when it comes to kind of like, what can you do, what can you do in your job to improve the things that we're designing? Well, I guess recognize the people who have those skills and get them to test things. I really like the idea of testing this stuff.
I do.
But it might not be just with users. There might be internal people who are good at this sort of stuff. Run things past them with this, with this view, if you like.
And I think that's one of the dangers of so many companies focus exclusively on metrics. So when I did conversion rate optimization, they're expecting me to jump into the data look at this number, and what's this segment doing compared to this segment, and what's their conversion rate and lifetime order value, and blah 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 blah. But actually, oftentimes that will tell you, data will tell you what is happening, but it doesn't tell you why it's happening. And that's where the human aspect really comes in, and what I think really gives us power as UX professionals, because I do think that emotional intelligence should be a big part of our skill set. Whether it always is or not, I'm not so sure, but it should be.
Good stuff.
Talking of trust, I like to share an interesting read every time, and this one is a Nielsen Norman post from 2016, so it's a little while ago, but
is it really?
Great thing.
Wow. Okay. I liked this one.
That old. Well, it doesn't matter, you see, because people are people. Yeah, exactly. We don't change. It's technology that changes. So it's a really good analysis of the different levels of trust and commitment, right? So it talks about there being 5 levels of commitment, and there's the baseline trust. Could this site help me accomplish my goals? Is it credible? Can I depend on the information, etc.? Then there's interest and preference, for your site over someone else's. So do I choose this site to complete my task? Is it better than the other options? Then there's kind of a level of trust with personal information. Is the site offering a valuable enough for me to justify time and effort into registering, for example? Do I trust the site with my personal information? And this one really pisses me off, right? This is a trend I am seeing all of the time at the moment, and it has to stop, right?
Said Paul.
You know how I love every new shiny app that comes along, right?
Indeed, but they make you sign up for them, don't they?
Every day I go through Product Hunt looking at the latest apps that have been released and going and visiting them. The number of them that make you sign up really to get any sense of what the app is capable of, right? And most annoyingly, B, they don't put prices on their website until you've signed in, and then they try and upsell you immediately.
Yeah.
And that pisses me off so majorly. And it's just this huge barrier, because immediately you're asking people to jump to step 3 of these 5 hierarchies of commitment, right? And people just aren't ready if you haven't done the groundwork first.
Yeah, that's what I liked in the article. There was an example, I can't remember what it was, but an example that it shows... It shows a sign-in window or something, a website that assumes the user is at level 4 when it hasn't even reached the baseline.
Yeah,
and it's like that was a really useful. Basically, it's a useful tool you can use it as a testing platform. We're asking this now: will users be ready for that? Will they have reached that point? So,
classic example of that is e-commerce sites with. Sign up for our newsletter to get 10% off. Yeah. And you've literally just arrived at the website. You haven't seen any products.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then bang, And I remember very vividly once, I closed one of those boxes, looked through the website, found something I really, really wanted, but I wanted my 10% off.
Yeah.
Right? And it gone, right? The newsletter sign-up box had just gone. And so... I actually didn't buy from the website in the end, because I was like, well, hang on a minute. Everything looks 10% more expensive than it did a minute ago,
It's madness, isn't it? It all just seems... I know this sounds like such a frivolous thing to say, but it's just bloody common sense, isn't it?
It is. It is. But the trouble is, I think the thing with common sense is that when you're being bombarded... It's fine for us to sit here.
I know.
And say, let's
pressures
focus
come from different directions.
Yeah. And you're thinking about so many different things, and trust is nobody's talking about trust.
Yeah.
And if nobody's talking about it, it doesn't get focused on.
Exactly.
Anyway, there's a couple of other levels. There's your willingness to hand over sensitive financial information, and also your willingness to commit to the ongoing relationship. But go and check out the article. It's called The Hierarchy of Trust, the five experimental levels of commitment. It's on the Nielsen Norman Group. It'll be in the show notes, which you can get to by going to boag.world/22. Right, agency question. I run an agency academy, which Marcus never turns up for after basically begging for a free ability to attend it.
Just expecting it. I wasn't begging. Begging's far too strong.
So I'm going to take his access away because he's
don't.
bad.
No, please.
See?
Don't.
Yeah, exactly. So it was. So this is if you're an agency or a freelancer, this is relevant to you. If you're not, then maybe you want to skip to Marcus's joke, or more likely just stop listening here. But it was a good question, so I wanted to ask it. I know, right? I hear a lot about productization of services. Is it a good idea? And if so, how should you be doing it? Marcus, what do you think of this? Because I'm torn over it.
I think it depends what you're selling. I think things like, got bronze, silver, gold package for your support for websites. Yeah. I think that's a good thing if the people that you're selling to don't really value their website that highly. They've spent a couple of grand on getting it up, and you want to get as much money out of them as you can. Not tricking them, obviously, but being able to put a kind of a name on the different services, I think helps them understand what they're paying for, and means that you don't, and there isn't an expectation that they'll get more. So I think from that perspective, it's a good thing, but we don't do it. I think it could actually erode trust. They're just trying to get me to pay for the gold option, I feel like a number, not a valued customer. I want a bespoke service. I want, So
that's the key for me.
Yeah, it depends. I know that's always the bloody answer, isn't it? But it's not something that we would ever consider because we provide.
Yeah, I mean, for me the big one is it feels like it could devalue what you do.
Yeah,
because the way I like to, I haven't even got a process, right? Let alone a product. I have what I like to call a methodology, a toolkit of various tools that I will bring together and I will use to come up with a solution.
Hang on. Yeah. What did I just say? We do custom, that's the key word, web design and development. We provide intelligent and practical outcomes for our clients' digital challenges. So, we got a load of stuff we can do to help that happen.
And it's always slightly different, and it will depend on the context and everything else. Exactly. So I've had a lot of reservations with it, but I do wonder whether I like it from some regards. I like it in terms of clarity, that the idea of productizing something makes it very clear. But I think for me, there's a kind of couple of rules around it, right? If I'm going to have products, I want the product to focus on the service and outcome rather than the output. So what do I mean by that? For example, I'm not a fan of having a product that would deliver where the output is we're going to do these number of interviews and this number of testing and blah, 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 blah. Because I think immediately that locks you in, and that's not always right. This is why I don't like fixed price projects a lot, if I'm honest, because you agree to a load of stuff up front, and then you get into the weeds of the project and you think, well, we don't really need to do 6 stakeholder interviews. We'd be better off spending our time doing this. And the minute you have products that have deliverables locked into them, then they're less likely to fit a particular scenario. Yep. So I prefer, like I have, one of my products would be conversion rate strategy. right? And that is the product, is to, provide you with a strategy for improving your conversion rate. So it's focused on the outcome. Now, with different clients at different times, I might focus on, do that in a different way. But the product is kind of more broad. Does that make sense? Or more vague?
Although really that's just like,
not really
that's not a product.
Is it?
No. Because you couldn't give it a name other than you're just describing a service that you provide. Yeah.
Because the other thing is I don't like giving them fixed prices either. So I really am not a product person, am I?
No.
Yeah.
And neither are we really, although I'll do fixed price projects some of the time and some of the time not. But then, to use your example, if we realise halfway through that we don't really need to be doing this, then we'll just spend the money on something else. Just move it over to another task, do more of something else.
Yeah. I just like the flexibility. I like to be able to adapt during a project to deliver. Because for me, what we do, I mean, a product, a physical product, I'm holding a pair of headphones in my hands here, is one thing, right? Because you know what you're buying, you know what it is, you know its capabilities, you know what it will be delivered. But even with physical products, the way we're told to sell them is by the benefits the product provides. So an iPod isn't, as it was back in the day, is everybody else was selling it 5 gigabytes capability, and all of this kind of stuff, where Apple came along and said 1,000 songs in your pocket, right? Which is the benefit, is what you're getting out of it. And so really, I think products tend to lead to that function, the features of something rather than the benefits, outcome of it. So boo to products.
I think we agree.
Yeah,
when it relates to services, but
yes, Marcus, joke. Make sure it's a good one.
Well, I think this is a good one, and that's quite big of me to say that up front. But I think I may have said it before, but years ago on
that's fine.
Not recent.
Unless I can remember it, it counts as new.
Right. I removed the shell from my racing snail. I thought it would make it faster, but if anything, it's more sluggish.
Yeah. I guessed the line.
You guessed the line, didn't you?
I don't think I've heard it before.
It's a good joke, sluggish. But come on.
That's quite a poor one, actually.
Paul. All right.
Sorry.
Next month, I'll try. I'll keep trying.
Give us a better one, Marcus.
Okay.
Yes. So that's it for this week's show. This week we're still in the weekly mindset. This month's show. Don't forget, if you've got an idea for a guest, drop us an email to paul@poagworld.com, because we want to bring interesting people on the show. All right. Thank you very much for listening, and speak to you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.